Hello, welcome to this vendor scorecard demo for Celonis. We'll be showcasing this app that is very useful to evaluate for each of your different suppliers which one has the best financial, operational, or compliance score. And we average that to this total score that you see on the right-hand side here. This app is very useful to determine which one of your suppliers you could prioritize, either in terms of negotiating better contracts, and which ones may need a little help in getting their scores up. For example, we see that our suppliers are categorized into three categories here: the gold, silver, and bronze categories. We can see that on average, gold, silver, and suppliers tend to have different scores. For example, if we look at the top three of our list down below, we can see that the gold tends to be over 80%, silver above 75, and bronze is under that threshold. Overall, you'll find that suppliers with a higher score just have a lot more to offer in terms of better operations. Could be something along the lines of better OTIF or better compliance in terms of invoice postings. We'll deep dive into that in just a moment. Another thing you might notice on this view is on the right-hand side over here, you have the progression of where each of the suppliers are categorized over time, meaning you can track how many gold, silver, and bronze suppliers you have over time. And ideally, you'd like to see it go up in terms of gold and silver and down in terms of bronze. Now, going to this deep dive table at the bottom, you can see that we have quite a few suppliers available to us, and each have different number of POs as well as the total PO value that we have accumulated over time from those suppliers and their respective scores. If we look into one specific supplier, let's take one from the top of the list. So this one over here, supplier 26. If I click on here, I get a detailed breakdown of what exactly this supplier scores on these different metrics. For example, we can see that their operational score is quite high at 93%. That 93% can be further broken down into invoice accuracy, OTIF rate, as well as open orders past due score, quote response time score, and confirmation response rate. Then down below, we have also a breakdown table where we can see per different material groups of our existing POs with the supplier, what was the invoice accuracy, the open orders past due percentage, material savings, as well as some other metrics. This breakdown table can also be further categorized into different plans. We see here that this supplier works with 4 specific plans. Another function that we can use is this leave a comment button. As we deep dive into the metrics for the supplier, we can see that perhaps one thing that they could really work on is their quote response time score of 42%. If I'm working with a supplier, I have a call with them where I explained that this should be improved. I can then leave a comment and say, and once I click on this button, Celonis will automatically trigger an action flow that saves this comment onto the supplier. And now we can see here, as of today, we now have a new comment that says that we had a discussion with the supplier regarding the low quote response rate. Then if I'd later return, maybe next week, to have another conversation with the same supplier, I'd see the work that has already been done, and we can follow up on those actions later down the line. As we continue in this deep dive, we can also see a few more things, notably the development of these metrics over time. Another thing we can see in this view is we can open up this operational score to really deep dive into what it consists of and what each of these metrics actually mean. If I click on here, it opens up another deeper level view. And this is where I can really validate the data and make sure that what consists of my score is accurate. In this case, we have the operational score deep dive, and we have a few different tabs for each of our important metrics. In this case, the invoice accuracy. As we can see, we have different number of POs And for each of those, we can see whether the invoice was posted, as well as whether or not it was accurate. Overall, the supplier looks pretty good. We only have a couple of no's and a whole bunch of green, meaning it's a good invoice accuracy score. Similarly for OTIF, we can see the same. We can see if the delivery date match with the requested date. And finally, is this OTIF or not, based also on the amount received, on the goods received. So that's it for the deep dive. Let's go back one more and one more, back to the overall view. As you can see, you can also take a view of what are the most recent comments. So it's very easy to enable collaboration between different team members as to when a supplier is contacted, what kind of discussions are being held with that supplier, etc. With this app, you can really see easily how each vendor is scoring and which ones could need a little bit more help. That's it for the demo. Thank you and have a great day.